Hi friends, how's everyone doing? Oh, it's so good to be here. Welcome to my channel. I'm Megs, and this is just so exciting. Okay, so I can hardly contain myself because it feels so good to get into the room and make some stuff, you know what I mean? So, my channel, since it's not that big, I don't get requests very often to do certain videos. So when I do, I really like to try to do that, whatever's requested. And so, although I had some plans to do other things first, we are going to talk about jelly plating, and I couldn't be more thrilled. So this is for 3 different people asked me to talk about the jelly plate, and I thought it would be perfect because I just so happened to be super inspired by a wonderful a wonderful artist who is very fluent in jelly plating and everything. We're going to talk about her. And so I'm going to do it like this. First of all, excuse the lighting. I don't know exactly how good it looks or bad it looks. I just know it's probably not perfect, but I'm working with what I got. Okay, so just bear with me. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to do this first video, and then we're going to do a follow-up video where we actually work on the jelly plate. So this first video is going to be all the information that I can give you about the jelly plate. We're going to talk about what you have to have, what you should have. I'm going to show you some things, what's optional to use on the jelly plate. We're going to talk about our goals, what we use our prints for, if anything. We're going to talk about paints, the kinds of paints that work the best, just all the things jelly plate. Okay, I'm going to try to give as much information as I can that I know, and by no means am I an expert in this. I should say that. This is something I love and recently have become very passionate about. And so, yeah, I'm learning. This is going to be part of our getting to know our Whoa, I just got totally sidetracked because I thought I saw a spider and I almost freaked out, but it was just a fuzzy. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, squirrel, right? Give me a heart attack. I hate spiders. Okay, so I forgot what I was even talking about, but this is going to be all about jelly plating. This is going to be the getting to know our supplies. I'm so sorry. So this is going to be getting to know our supplies. This is our second video, and it's going to be the jelly plate. So then after this, we're going to actually do the playing and the fun stuff. So if you are fluent in jelly plating or you already know about it, I mean, if you want to stick around, that's fantastic. That would be wonderful. I'd love to have you here. And, you can listen in. And if you know something that I didn't say that you think is important to add for our people who are watching to learn, because we do have a few people that want to see this and want to learn some things, feel free to leave a comment and give some information. Let me know if you work on the jelly plate, all that kind of stuff. I love to see your comments, you guys. And I just love when we come together to help each other out. This channel has really attracted a lot of new people, new to mixed media and things like that, and I just think it's so cool when people ask me questions, because it's not very often, like I said. So it's really cool to be able to come on and know that people are watching to actually learn something. So this is going to be fun. So, what you see, I just laid some things out. We're going to talk about we're just going to jump in. What you have to have if you're jelly plating, right? First of all, what is jelly plating? Well, jelly plate, I'm going to show you a few. I have 3. And they look messy because they are. They're very loved. I do not clean my plates unless I actually really need to. And we'll talk about that too in a second. I'm going to move these to the side. I wanted to show you the pretty colors. And I know there's usually people who say, well, a couple times when I do jelly plate, I've done a couple jelly videos, and somebody has said the mess that you have on your desk is making me like anxious or whatever, and I felt really bad about it. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be more organized next time and put my paints in a container, but it doesn't work for me, hun. I'm sorry. I have to have my paints everywhere, and that's just the way I do it. So I have this, I tried to not show all the paint because there's a ton, and tried to keep it kind of contained so you're just seeing this. So hopefully it's not too bad to look at. And that's all. Okay, so I have 3 different jelly plates. So jelly plate is a gelatin plate, literally. I'm going to show you the small one. And it's made out of this jelly, a gel material. It's actually, you can make a gel plate yourself out of gelatin. And I know there's videos. I'll try to find one and link it when I put the information. As always, I will try to give you guys information down below, so maybe I'll link some jelly plates that you can buy on Amazon. I don't have an affiliate link or anything. They're just, anything I link is just for you to have some good information. Okay, so it's literally a plate made out of gelatin, and you print. You use paints and rollers and all kinds of things. That's what we're going to go through to make these beautiful monoprints, or whatever it is that you're creating. And you'll see more. It's kind of hard for me to explain it. I have to kind of show it. So there's different sizes, and how do you know what jelly plate is right for you to get? Of course, not everybody can afford to go get 5 or 6 jelly plates, and you don't need that. You just need one. For me, if you would have asked me this about 7 months ago, I probably would have said, get the smallest one and see if you like it. And then, because they're very inexpensive. But I think I would say get a medium-sized plate or something a little bigger than this, because you don't really get this is great for making small things, for printing on a little tag or something. But if you really want the full effect and like to really see what you can do on it, if you want to try to make a book cover, or, you have to, I don't know. I just think it's a good idea to maybe get one this size. Maybe a 5x7 isn't bad. This 5x7 plate is very well loved, as you can see. It is perfect size. You can do a good size tag on that. And to be honest with you, most of the time when I print, I'm not looking for, because of my end goal, which we're going to talk about, I'm usually looking to collage. That's my main thing. That's what I found I love to do the most. And so I'm really just looking for little pieces of glory, you know what I mean, on any sheet that I can tear up and put in a collage and put in an art journal or use in some kind of mixed media background. And so having a small plate like this is just fine for stuff like that, and making a tag. You can do all kinds of stuff with a plate this size. My most used gel plate is this one right here. And why don't I remember the size? It looks like, I think it's a 9x12. Let me just measure that, because I don't know why I can't remember. Let me get out my measuring stick here. So this is yep. Oh no, wait. Wow. That's weird. Yeah, I think this is a 9x12. I'm wondering if it shrunk a little bit. It looks like it might have. So it's a 9x12, and it's just a perfect size for me. I love it, because if I want to do a small section, I can. If I want to use the whole thing, I can. And also, Joggles, we're going to talk about Stencils, makes wonderful stencils that are this perfect size, and they cover exactly the size of jelly plate. It's just really convenient, although you don't need a stencil to cover the entire thing, but we'll talk about that too. So, all right, so before I start rambling on and on, I need to have some structure here, so I wrote some things down. I hope you don't mind. So now that you know what a jelly plate is, let's talk about what tools are required for a jelly plate. So if you have a jelly plate and you're going to print on it, you have to have some kind of roller. So what kind of roller do you use? Well, I was using for the longest time this roller, and I still use it. I love this roller. This is a printmaking roller for, I think it's an ink block. I think it's called ink block printing or something like that. So it's a harder brayer. This is a brayer. It's called a brayer technically. I call them a roller, but this brayer, excuse me, is a harder brayer, but it still does work on it works nicely on your plate. Now, I didn't even know the difference between a hard and a soft brayer until, gosh, just a couple months ago, really. And so I was just using this, and I had this little one to go with it, because I think it's great to have multiple sizes. Now, again, if you're doing this on a budget and you're trying to print on a budget and you can't buy multiple brayers, it is, you're not going to like hearing this, but it's up to you, of course, what size you think you're going to need. If I could recommend something, I would say get a bigger brayer, or something not too big, but I would say 3, this size is perfect, and I think this is a 3 and it's a 3 point something inch brayer. It's not quite 4, it's not 3.5, it's like a little less. And I love the size. As you can tell, this is a brand new one. I haven't even used it. But I use this one quite often, and I'm happy with it. And I would be happy with anything a little bit smaller. This would be the in-between between the tiny one and this one. And I think it just feels comfortable. And we're going to actually test this out in the next video. So anyways, if you can get more than one, and eventually down the road, if you plan on just starting out with one, eventually it would be really great for you to get multiple. You're going to find that you're wanting to reach for another brayer somewhere during your session. It's just, I think it's inevitable that it's going to happen, that you're going to want another roller. Sometimes you start rolling and this one's working great, but then you just have a little space over here that you want to do, and you just need a little brayer to work it out. And it's nice to have different options. Now, this brayer right here is a Ranger brayer. I don't know the brand of this one. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby in the paint section a long time ago. I had 2. The other one got just, I can't even tell you what happened. I thought I was cutting paint, so I took a razor and I thought, oh, I can just cut a little bit and peel it off, but I cut the whole entire, oh my gosh, yeah, no brain cells in here. So, this is a Ranger brayer, and it's a soft, it says that it's a really soft brayer. Of course, when you touch it, it feels hard to me, but the rubber is a softer rubber than this for sure. And then the more videos I watched, the more classes I took to jelly plating classes, and the more I learned about it, I learned that the softer brayers really spread the paint more evenly. And you may not need that. That may not be super important to you. I've gotten beautiful prints with this, and I'm going to show you some actually in a second that I did the other night, and I didn't have this big brayer, and I only used this one and this one a couple times. So this is my newest one. This is another Ranger. It's the bigger size of this one. And I was like, I really wanted the Speedball. There's a Speedball brayer that's an extra soft Speedball brayer, and that's the one that I see all the people that I really love watching use, and they recommend, and it's really highly recommended. It is very pricey for a brayer, but I heard it's the best. Unfortunately, I couldn't, when I just bought this the other day, I couldn't find it available. Hopefully it comes available soon, because I just buy everything on Amazon. Because free shipping, I didn't want to buy it and then have to pay, $7 to ship it somewhere else. So, I would like to get a 3-inch, in the Speedball, super soft. It's a white, it's got a red handle, and it's got a really thick, really soft white, roller. So that's the one thing that you need to spread your paint around. Now, there is another, oh, you know what, I don't know if there's a glare on this because I have the cover on, so I'm going to actually move the gel plate. Sorry about that if there is. Because we have a few other things to talk about, and I want this to be not too long because I want to spend a lot more time on the next video. This is a Squeegee, a gel plate Squeegee, and you could probably use a lot. There's a lot of different tools like this. This happens to be Ranger. It's oh, I always forget. Is it Dina Wakely? I think this is her Squeegee, her idea, her product. And this is just another way to spread your paint on. Again, we're going to test all of these out in the next video, so come and watch that. We're going to do all the stuff we talk about, we're going to try out, okay? So this is a Squeegee, and you can apply your paint on the jelly plate in different ways, and it gives a more of a stucco type look. You can add texture with it, and I love this thing. It's really great. And if you can't find this, I got this for 99 cents, and I don't remember where, but that's how much it was at the scrapbooking store, wherever I got it from. But you can use anything that's like, a lot of times, you can use anything like this. A lot of times the Sculpey brand, Sculpey is a brand that is for sculpting, duh. And pretty much, I realized that pretty much all the Sculpey tools come in handy for the jelly plate. So let's get into that. If you don't, besides all this, what else can you use on the jelly plate? Well, you might want to make marks when you make your jelly prints, right? So you can do a number of things to make marks. You can use things like this. You can use, they sell these. These are jelly plate squeegee type things that have, you know, little edges on them, and they're made for the jelly plate, and you can actually, you know, lay down your paint and make marks on your plate with these. And I still need to master these. I don't, every time I've used them, I just haven't been happy with the marks that I've made. And I think it's just because there's got to be some kind of technique into doing it, and I just need to practice them. But I hardly ever reach for these. But yes, but also cake making tools you can use. Like this is for, I can't think of the word, for cake making. So you can, it makes marks in the fondant. And you have to be careful with these because you don't want to use anything that could damage your plate. That's one thing I should have mentioned right off the bat. Anything that you use on your plate should be safe for your plate. You don't want anything with sharp edges. You don't want anything that could poke or damage your plate. If you do damage one of the sides of the plates and it has like a divot or something, that is going to print in all of your prints. So if you have a little divot, and I actually have one in mine, and I actually got my divot from dried paint. Now I'm a big on, I know I'm kind of jumping around, I apologize. I have so many thoughts in my head, it's hard for me to get them all out sometimes, but I like to let the paint dry, and like whatever's on the plate, I leave it for next time because it just adds layers to your next pull. And I left paint on, and then I hadn't touched my plate for months, which is crazy, but months I hadn't done anything with it. And the paint was so dried on there. When I opened it, some flaked off, and it had imprinted into the jelly plate like permanently. So every print that I pull has a little tiny circle like indent where the indent is, and it's really annoying, and I already had used the other side of the plate, so I technically need a new plate, seriously. So try to take care of them, really. You want to make sure they're in a safe place, and that they're covered properly and all of that good stuff. And there's so many, you know, like I said, there's so many videos that teach you exactly what to do. So I'm not trying to go into every single detail, like cover it with this and do this, because I don't know all, like everything. I don't know exactly if there's something technical that you should be covering it with. I just leave mine in the package and put it back, you know, put it in its spot just so it's covered. But anyways, where were we? So yeah, you can make marks with all the Sculpey tools, and I love using the Sculpey. These are my favorite things to use. Now these are texture plates. You can purchase texture plates. They're like stamps for the jelly plate. You can purchase texture plates that are made specifically for the jelly plate, and they usually are pretty pricey. They usually run about $10 to $15 a piece, but they are fantastic. I personally never bought one that's made for the jelly plate. I buy these because they come in multi-packs. There's always at least 2 in a pack, and these are made for Sculpey, for clay. So anything that is going to put an indent or a mark into clay will work on your jelly plate. And as you can tell, these are loved. I love these. I got these in the clearance section at the craft store. You know, they always have Sculpey stuff at my Michael's. I don't think anybody buys it, so I'm always in the clearance section because I can always find these wonderful texture plates. These came with like 4 or at least 3 of them in a package, and I got it on clearance for $3. They're double-sided, and they leave the most beautiful marks. And I'm going to show you some. This is one of my favorites right now. This marking, and so. Yeah, these wonderful marks into your jelly plate that you can print and pull onto your papers. And so, yeah, just look around. There's another one actually, another kind of texture plate. Let me show you. This one, there's 2 more that I want to show you. So these are also for the Sculpey. Let me get this out of the way so you're not focusing on too many things. These are also for the Sculpey stuff, but these are like plasticky, as you can tell. And these, you know, they leave marks in your clay, but they work beautifully on the jelly plate as well. And these are super cheap. They come in a pack of like, I don't know, multiple, like 5 or 6 or something like that. And they just leave awesome marks on your plate. And I just, you know, I saw them and I was like, I wonder if I could leave a mark on my jelly plate with that. And it worked. And they're subtle and beautiful. Some of them are really deep. because some of these are really extra 3D for the clay, and they're just wonderful, and I can't wait to show you, oops, how these work. And I just take mine because they do get all over the place. You know, they're slippery, so if you put them in a drawer, they fly all over the place. So I just put a little ring in mine. Same thing I do with my stencils, my Tim Holtz stencils. I always put a little ring and just keep them together like that. Oh, I should move out a little faster here. And this is the last texture plate that I absolutely love. Now, I only have this one print, and this is a Damask print. It's the same print on both sheets, but it came together in one package. And this is for fondant again. So this was in a baker section in a 2-pack, and it's to make this beautiful mark in a wedding cake, I'm assuming, in the fondant. And so you would need both to go around your cake, you know. And I pulled the most beautiful prints of these last year. I haven't used it since, but it was just so lovely. It's so lovely. Left great marks. I love that damask look. So those are some ways to get texture if you want to purchase something. Now, there's also stencils, and then we're going to show you really quick some homemade things or some unconventional items that you can use that are laying around your house or at the dollar store, okay? So the other thing that is really fun on the Gelli plate, and then at the end we're going to go through some of my prints and show you some of the beautiful things I made a couple of nights ago. So these are stencils. And I know I'm not going to talk too long about stencils because you know what a stencil is. And so, you know, you can buy stencils, expensive stencils, inexpensive stencils. Of course, my favorite are the cheap ones. You know, I usually don't use my Tim Holtz on there. I don't know why on the Gelli plate. I think it's because I use them, I hoard them, I don't know. But anyways, but I liked, for the Gelli plate, I like to sometimes, only on my cheap stencils, not my stencils that are designer stencils is what I'll call them, like a Tim Holtz or a Robin McClendon or anything from iStencils, Patty Toley Parrish, none of those. I would never use any of those, I would never cut any of those. But these ones that I've gotten clearance that are just flimsy and cheap, this had a whole bunch of junk around it. And what I like to do, just to kind of make it more of a mask, I cut all the thick stencils off of it. I just cut around it, and that way I can just use this so it doesn't have an end. You know, it doesn't have a sharp edge. So I can just make subtle marks in random places on my Gelli plate, because I love doing that. Sometimes I don't want just one picture, you know, one center, you know, focal point. I just want little marks, you know. And these are cool. These are actually for sprays. I mean, you can use them for whatever, but this kind of stencil, you rotate it, you spray, and then you rotate it, and then you spray, because of the design in it. It's made to look really cool when you rotate it and spray it with different colors. But this is one that I actually did cut because I wanted, so this side looked like this, and I started cutting this side. So if you can see here, that's what it looked like together. And I cut it to look like that because I wanted that edge. I wanted to be able to put that on and have that edge somewhere on my print. And I will continue to cut this, you know, just, let me show you, right at the edge there. My goodness, my scissors are stuck. Okay, just right at the edge. And you can do it any way you want, but yeah, it just gives a really, you know, my own kind of look, you know. And this was not a super cheap stencil. It was a 2-pack, but I did get it with a 50% off coupon, so it was just a few dollars. But see, I just cut that crooked because I'm behind the camera. Oh, no, I didn't. So what I did was I cut that edge off, and then I even went in here, and I'm going to cut this right there, and then I'll come up here and cut it right there, and now I have that. So you can customize stencils that aren't super, you know, nice and expensive. The ones that you get from, you know, the dollar store sells stencils. You don't have to buy expensive ones. You can get them at the dollar store. One place that I'll talk about, the last place that I want to talk about, excuse me, to get stencils, and my absolute favorite for the Gelli plate. These are the two I've been jiving off of the last few days because I'm doing all Japan theme, well, I was going to say Japanese, Asian theme journals and stuff, and that's what I'm going for. So I have this beautiful ginkgo stencil that I just, so lovely. And this is a clarity stencil, my first one I ever bought. It came with a mask as well, and I'm going to tell you the difference between a mask and a stencil, and then I'm going to tell you my favorite place to get stencils. Okay, I'm all over the place. I can feel it. I'm sorry. I'm so excited. So these are just cheap ones that came in a long sheet, and I just cut them. You know, I love this one. It looks so simple. It was super long, and I just cut it. So sometimes I'll use this edge, and sometimes I'll just put it on and dab with a sponge and get that look, you know. It's just really, this was super cheap because, again, clearance. And when you buy the extra long stencils, you can cut them up and use just pieces of them on the Gelli plate. And I think that's the really fun part, is just making subtle marks in different places. You don't always have to just use, bam, the whole stencil, you know. Again, I made this one into more of a mask than a stencil. Now, the difference between a mask and a stencil. This is a stencil, and as you can tell, most of the stencil is covered in Mylar. This is what it's made out of, Mylar. And so the openings are smaller than the background, if that makes sense. There's less opening than what's covered. The mask has more opening and less Mylar. So you usually don't have a hard edge. This is part of the design, but usually in a stencil you don't have in a mask you don't have super hard edges on the, like a frame. Usually you just have it opened. That's what I see in most of them anyways. And most of the background is open. So when I pull my print, when I set this down onto my Gelli plate and I put my paint on it, or I set this on top of the paint and I pull it, most of that paint is going to come through onto the paper, most of it, and there's going to be less covered up, okay? I hope I explained that okay, but this is just a perfect example. You can tell most of this has more Mylar, or less openings. This has more openings. I happen to be more fond of, it just depends on what I'm doing actually, but I really love buying masks on the Gelli plate. They work so great. Now this is the last, we're going to talk about the Gelli plate or about the stencils. Oh my gosh. My favorite place to get stencils, I've told you guys a million times, is joggles.com. It's a wonderful mixed media store. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I also really love Barbara, who runs, I don't know if she runs it, but she seems to run Joggles, and I don't know if it's her store or not, but she does wonderful videos on YouTube. You should check out joggles.com on YouTube, and she has the best ideas. She's really, really great. Whenever she has a new product or something they're selling, she demonstrates it and talks about it, and she's very, very creative. So anyways, Elizabeth St Hilaire is a mixed media artist who sells her stencils on joggles.com, and they are my favorite masks and stencils to buy, period. They are under $6, okay? First of all, can we just talk about that? That is an amazing deal for these large stencils. This is a 9x12 stencil that covers my Gelli plate perfectly, and this is her new one. This is called Ribbon Candy. This is one of her newest, from her newest release. I haven't even used it yet, but it's just beautiful. And as you can tell, most of the background, see, most of it shows through, and then you just have these small areas that are covered up. So it's just fantastic. And I won't be cutting this. I was like, ooh, I could cut that off, and then I could just, but no, this is holding it together. So this kind of I would never cut one of hers anyways, but you know, I was talking about trimming them and whatnot, but you would not want to do that with something like this because it would fall apart, right? But this just goes on perfectly onto that size Gelli plate that I have. And then here's another one. This is the only other new one, and I did print the only other new one that I have of hers. And I did use this, and I'm going to show you what I made with it. It's absolutely beautiful. And then these are just a few more, and I'll just do them real quick from Joggles. This is Elizabeth, and they're going to be hard to see. This is Elizabeth St Hilaire. It's called Berries or something like that, and it's one of my most used one of the ones I use the most, and I think I just love these jagged edges. Okay, so as far as using stencils on the plate, should I worry about paint drying on it? That's up to you. I like when the paint dries on my stencils, especially on my masks, because it kind of toughens them up a bit. As long as you don't have big chunks that are going to interfere with your prints, it really does not mess up your stencil. And most people that really print a lot don't sit there and wash every stencil. If you are using your stencils and masks on texture paste or something, you're gonna want to get that off, because you don't want that. It gets crummy and it will affect your prints. But when you're using it on paint, it's on there flat, it dries flat. You don't have anything. I've never had a problem from dried paint on my stencils. So that's my opinion. That's what I'm going to tell you. That's my experience. And that's also the experience of a lot of other people, because I had that question in the beginning as well. So as you can see, I've used these a number of times down here, and it actually looks kind of cool, but this will not affect any of my prints, that dried paint. This is one that's Joggles brand mask. I love this one with the flowers. I was really into florals last year when I bought all these. This is Elizabeth St Hilaire again. I love this one. It's like roses. And then this is her sunflower one. I love that. And then there's another one. This is called, I think this one's called Mother's Garden, but I don't remember. I could be wrong. I can't remember all the names. This is another floral print that I got last year of Elizabeth St Hilaire. So as you can tell, I have a few of hers. And so, yeah, that was my little stencil collection. I love using this one too. This is cute. Okay, so where are we at with time? It is a half an hour, and I wanted this to be a half an hour video, but I guess I didn't plan on showing you my stencil collection. I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't a mistake. I should have maybe made that shorter, but I got excited, so what can I say? So what can you print on? What are some, oh, wait, here's the mask to that Clarity stamp. Clarity stamps are great, and they come with the stencil that I showed you, and then the mask is in the stamp as well. Or, oh my gosh, the mask is in with the stencil as well. Goodness. So you get two, and they're like $6. And I got this at ASC Supplies. It's so cool. And Clarity Stamp is a great, I'm going to put that in the description too, a great channel on YouTube that teaches a lot about jelly plating. So what can we print on? I love to print on a number of things. When I first started printing, I was told that, oh my gosh, I'm sorry you guys. I told you I was going to show you some homemade stuff. I'm like, should I refilm this? I don't know. Okay, so if you want to make marks and you don't have a lot of stencils, which by the way, go to the dollar store. Their stencils work great if you want to, to try with some of theirs. But if you only have a couple and you want to just make some more organic marks, I use stencils on my jelly plate, but not, honestly, I have a lot of stencils, but I use those more for my sprays and inks and things, and for coffee dyeing papers more than I do my jelly plate. I actually prefer using things like Punchinella, is that what this is called? Punchinella. This is basically sequence waste. So when they punch out all the sequins, which I have some here, when they're making sequins, they punch it out of this, and they need to throw away, that. And so you can buy this online. People sell it. I don't know where they get it, but I got this at an Etsy shop, and I got like a couple yards of it for a couple of dollars because it's just waste, but it's perfect for mark making. And it's this and bubble wrap are my number one used mark making, my like organic mark making things for the jelly plate. Bubble wrap makes perfect circles, and it's a distinct mark that if you see it on somebody's work, oh, that's bubble wrap. And I use the big bubble wrap too. It's over somewhere. But the bigger bubbles, those make great marks. I would say my very favorite thing to use on the jelly plate, as far as making marks, if I can grab it over here. Oh, here's the bigger bubble wrap right here, the bigger bubbles. My very favorite thing to use on the jelly plate is this netting. and it's like a plastic netting. You've probably seen this, I'm sure, sometime. You know, whether I got these from bath toys, buying cheap bath toys at the dollar store, and I literally bought them because I wanted this netting a while ago. I was like, okay, I'm buying these rubber duckies because I wanted this netting, and you know, you can find it in several different things. You just have to look for it. It makes the best marks, and now that I know how to apply it, because at first I was like, how am I doing this, and I wasn't doing it right, and it's just, you lay it down, and I'm going to demonstrate it when we do our jelly printing, and you just do this, you just roll some marks, and it just is stunning. I absolutely love this. It's my favorite thing, my favorite marks to get. I can't stress that enough, because you don't have to go buy all the stuff I'm showing you. You know, you can use anything that's going to make a mark from around your house. So just look around. I've even made this. This is my kids' toys. I've showed you this before because this is the stuff. These are the pieces that I've made. My paper edgers. I made my own paper edger to distress the edge of my papers, like the Tim Holtz paper edgers, and I made them out of these toys. Well, I have a bucket of these, just a huge bucket of them, and I just took some clay, and it doesn't look fancy because, well, it's not for, you know, it's not to look fancy, it's just to make marks, but I love this design, and I was like, well, how can I use this to stamp? So I just took some clay and stuck it on, and I just stamp with it, and it makes killer marks in the jelly plate. So yeah, just you get creative. That's the fun part. That's what is just so fun about this. I mean, you can take a coffee cup or something round like this, and first of all, you can use these great sponges and make marks, but you can also take that off and use that to make circles. I mean, it's just whatever can make a mark that isn't going to damage your plate, go for it. Try new things. It's really fun. You can use a paintbrush to get brush strokes. I mean, sky is the limit with this, you guys. You just have to use your imagination a little bit. I totally recommend watching as many videos as you can. And I'm not just saying that because I make YouTube videos. I mean it. Like, go and explore different channels, different techniques. What's going to happen is you're going to, hopefully, with more practice, develop your own style. But don't be afraid to try what people are showing you. What I found out about myself is that I wasn't enjoying it that much in the beginning, and that's because I was only doing exactly what one person was sharing. And what I found just recently, I really got into just loving this art form because I found myself, I found my style, I found what really resonates with me. And for me, it's building up on the pages, starting out with single layers, not a ton, and just pulling that print, setting it aside when it dries, pulling a little bit here on the same piece of paper, and building up on that piece of paper, on that piece of art. And in the beginning, I was trying to pull the perfect print all in one, you know, like it has to be perfect on this one pull or it's garbage. That's not so. You can just do simple prints and then come back to it. And that is what has made me really just love this. I can really just test out different things and just go simple with it and then make it complex and beautiful in the end by going back to the same piece of paper. And then what kind of paper do you use? So I also heard in the very beginning that I shouldn't use copy paper, and it doesn't give good results. The best paper is onion skin paper, which it is, in my opinion and a lot of other people's. Onion skin paper is hard to find. It's very expensive. Real onion skin paper is very expensive. It's crazy how much people sell it for. It should be a crime. But things that work just as good as onion skin paper, I'm going to show you right now. Deli paper. Joggle sells this for like $1 something for 30 sheets, but you can go buy it at your local store. The dollar store sells paper kind of like this, like what is that called? Baker's paper or whatever. You can use anything like that. These make, why would you use this? Well, it depends on, like I was saying in the beginning, your end result. What do you hope to achieve? Are you going to use this in a collage? Are you going to use it in a journal? Are you just trying to make thick pages to actually use as journal pages or as a piece of art on your wall? It depends on what your end goal is. For me, this is perfect because I can tear this and collage with it and decoupage with it. That's what I love to do. or just glue it on to another piece of art. So that's Deli Paper is very inexpensive, and you usually get a ton of it. And it also, the Deli Paper pulls and cleans your plate really, really good. So when you're printing, if you want to leave some stuff on your plate for the next pull, regular paper pulls less clean than Deli Paper. Deli Paper, if you're trying to clean your plate, you can really get it good and clean with the Deli Paper. The other paper that I found I really love right now, somebody told me, like I said, not to use printer paper. However, Hammermill Color Copy 28-pound paper is excellent. I love the prints that paper makes, and it's inexpensive. You get a ton of it. You can get it on Amazon. So it's Hammermill Color Copy paper, the 28 pound. So it is just regular run-of-the-mill copy paper, but it's just a little bit better. You know what I mean? It just pulls really cleanly and beautifully, and I will show you again in a second. But you can use any kind of paper, really. Just experiment. You might, somebody might tell you this paper sucks, don't use that, and you might love it. You know what I mean? It just depends on your taste. This is kids' school paper. It's really manila paper, it's called, and it's I had to have it because I love watching Crafty Cat, and she uses this paper all the time, so I bought some, and I don't know why, I just was like, when I got it, I'm like, oh, I hate the way it feels, I just don't like it. Then I started printing on it, and the prints are so interesting. Really, really cool paper, especially if you get it wet. It's just really cool paper. You can use, so I have a ton of that nearby. This is the Hammermill. Of course, it just looks like white copy paper, but it's just that much whiter. It's like 100 white or something like that, and it's thicker. It's a little bit thicker than regular copy paper, and it's just got a beautiful finish to it. I love using this paper. Is my absolute favorite. This is just Daiso. This is from Daiso. It's Japanese calligraphy paper, specialty calligraphy paper, and it is like a tissue paper, and it prints beautifully, and it decoupages beautifully. And this was under $10. It was about $6 for this when I purchased it on Amazon for 100 sheets. It's just great. It's really, really great paper. It works like a dream on the plate. I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's lovely. But you can go to the dollar store if you are on a budget. You can't afford $6 for some paper. Go to the dollar store with your dollar and grab some paper there. They have baker's paper that you can use there, and it works really, really good. And tissue paper, that's what I was just thinking of and couldn't get it out. They're regular white tissue paper for presents, packing gifts, or whatever. Just get regular white, and it pulls beautifully. And when you decoupage with it, the white disappears and all of that. It's just really yummy stuff. So I'm dragging this on a little bit. I'm already way past the time. But yeah, it's up to you what you want to print on. I print on the back of this is coffee dyed paper. Is one of the things I'm really passionate about is dyeing paper. I just love it, and this is one of my papers that I dyed using coffee and tea and construction paper for different colors, and I bake it and I iron it. It's just like my little piece of art making paper. I love it, but I like to have this beautiful image, and then on the other side do a pull, and then you can use it in a journal like this. It's just really, really fun. You can print on, which we're gonna in the next video, print on these coffee filters, guest checks. These are coffee dyed guest checks. Anything. You can print on anything. More coffee dyed scrap paper. You can print on these. So just test out. It's really your taste and up to you what you're gonna like and what you're gonna use it for. Envelopes, bags, cards, whatever that you can stick on the jelly plate, you can print on. And we're even going to test out fabric, which I've never printed on fabric before, but I've seen people do it, and I can't wait. So we're going to print on cotton fabric next time. And we're also going to print on wallpaper pieces, because I love the texture. and I think it's going to look really cool. So that's something to look forward to. So lastly, we're going to talk about really quick the paint that is best to use, and then I'm going to show you my prints and say goodbye. I guess this is an hour-long video. I'm sorry. I really wanted it to be a half an hour, but I guess I just had a lot to say. I hope that's okay with you. So paint. So the cool thing about the Gelli plate is the cheaper the paint, usually the better, honestly. You can get deco art paints for a pretty decent price at Walmart. I really love to use it. You want a thinner paint. You don't want a heavy-bodied acrylic because it's not going to spread for you very well at all. So because of that, cheap paints work wonderful. And you can literally get these paints at, Walmart, your craft store, for a couple of dollars. They do go up in price too. It depends on the kind you're getting, but it depends on what you want. Do you want glossy paint? Do you want matte paint? I recently fell in love with matte paint, and I'll tell you why in the next video to cut this, I don't want this to get too long. That's because of a technique we're going to try that I learned from Robin McClendon. She is like my hero, and she's just taught me everything, and I just really, she doesn't know me, but I am just the biggest fan of hers. She's just so inspirational. But anyways, these are the more pricey ones. Now these are golden fluid acrylics. If you're on a budget, I wouldn't recommend these because of the expense, and if you use them you might get addicted like me. No, I fell in love with these paints when I started using these, and I only bought them one at a time, every so often. And as you can see, I bought the small bottles because these can run up to $8 for a small bottle. But you really notice the difference. They are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. However, at first, when I first tried these, I was like, that's it. I don't want to use anything else. These are perfect, and I don't like the rest. And I got over that. I did get over that. And I still reach for these, of course. I reach for all of them. It just depends on what I'm making. So we have the expensive paints, and my favorite is the transparent red iron oxide. I love the iridescent bronze. And my favorite, because of Robin, is what she's kind of known for is using the quinacridone nickel azo gold. It's hard to say, but this just makes beautiful grunge. I love grunge. I'm more of a grungy girl than a pretty girl when it comes to my work. Quinacridone crimson, they're all just beautiful. So those are the thin body fluid acrylics. These are very inexpensive. These are just over a couple of dollars. These are the Dina Wakley media. These are acrylic paints, and you can get these at online craft stores. Joggles is where I got mine, or Mr. Art sells them as well for a really good price. They're a couple bucks, and they work beautiful on the Gelli plate, and that, I'm pretty sure that's one of the main reasons she made these, because she formulated them perfectly for the Gelli plate. Now, what's another good brand that I love? Okay, Daler-Rowney. If you have a Walmart nearby, you can get these for just a couple of dollars. Daler-Rowney, this is just the Simply acrylic, and they sell this in the art section at Walmart. Very cheap paint, works beautiful on the Gelli plate, spreads nicely, nice and thin, very vibrant. The prints are really, really great. This is a very great, cheaper paint that you can get if you're on a budget. But you don't have to stop at acrylic paint. I'm showing you all kinds of paint here, but you can also use things like your sprays. And I mean, the world of Gelli printing is so big. There's so much to tell you that I would, if I wanted to tell you everything about the Gelli plate, it would be like a 10-part, series here. But you can use your spray stains, and they're beautiful, and we're going to do that next time. You can use your fluid paints like this. These are the Amsterdam acrylic inks, so they're acrylic ink, literally. So they go on very fluid and water-like, and they're gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But there's different ways you can apply them and use them. You can use ink pads. You don't want to use alcohol inks. I've seen people use, what is that called? I can't remember. India ink. For me, I tried using India ink and I could not get it out of my plate. It took me like, I don't know, 5 days to get it out of my plate. So I can't personally recommend it, although I have seen people use it. But it's just up to you to go try out different things. But just remember, you want a thin-bodied paint. Craft paints, any craft paint is usually good because they're thinner. Unless it's a thin fluid acrylic like the golden. So I hope that I covered some stuff that, I hope I covered everything really that you have to know, and I hope that it was interesting and I didn't fumble too much. You know, I get a little bit insecure when I start to lose my train of thought and I'm not going in the perfect direction that I wanted to go in, so I hope I reeled it in okay. I'm going to end by showing you some of the prints I did, and then we're going to say goodbye, and I will see you next time. Oh, look, I forgot to even show you guys. So these are the, I'm sorry, let's backtrack just for a second. These are the Arteza acrylic colors that you saw spread out in the beginning. Sorry about that. But you can get these paints at, you know, the website, Arteza website, and they are fantastic for the jelly plate. They are fantastic for the jelly plate. I can't stress it enough. They're beautiful, and although these tubes look small, they really do last you a good while, but they sell bigger ones. They sell, you know, large-sized paints. I love this because I got such a variety of colors. I got the 60-pack of these, and then I also got the, oh, what is this? Well, I don't know how much is in there, but I got the multi-pack of the pearls to get the shimmery ones as well. And what is really cool about Arteza is if you spend a certain amount, I think it's like $30 or something, or $25 or $30, if you meet that mark, you can do Afterpay, which I think is a great thing, and I think a lot of art stores should do that, because not everybody can afford to spend, you know, $80 on paint, but they really would like to try all these different colors. So they have Afterpay. So what that is you can go on there, get this huge selection of paint, and then you can pay for it in multiple payments. And they don't charge you extra. You don't have, you know, any extra to pay. Just every 2 weeks it'll come out of your account. With PayPal or something. I don't know if it's on PayPal. I really don't know. But I do know that it's just a really good idea if you can't afford it all at once, but you can afford to make it in multiple payments every couple of weeks. That's a really great way to invest in a whole bunch of paint all at once, and you get all these variety of colors, and that's really, you wouldn't need anything else. If you are just starting out and you're like, how can I get a huge variety of paint for a good price? I would say go to Arteza, get the 60-pack of acrylic paints, start out with that, and do the Afterpay payments if you need to, and I mean, it's a really great investment. You will find that you fall in love with these on the jelly plate, I guarantee it, and, well, I can't guarantee it, but, you know, they're great. So here's my prints, and if I could give you one more bit of advice, it would be, when you start printing, don't expect miracles at first. It takes me a very long time to warm up my plate, and if you watch jelly printing videos, you're going to hear people say that. And what that is you're literally warming up your plate. Your prints pull differently when your plate has been worked on for quite a minute. You know, you need to work it in. It needs to get used to the paint, and once you work it in and you get your plate warmed up and you pull however many prints it takes, you will notice your prints get better and better. You'll look at the end of your pull session, and you'll look at the first ones, and you'll look at your last ones. At least I do anyways, and I go, wow, those are great. It really, it develops into something beautiful. Now, this is my style. I finally came into my own, and I'm going to show you some of my prints, and I'm going to show you the first ones that I started out with and what I ended up with, just to show you my transition to what I think is just stunning in the end. So we're not going to go through all of them. We'll be here all night, but some of these were just to clean the plate. So these were my beginning, well, this one, hold on. So these were my beginning prints, and this was the first one to clean the plate from Christmas. You could see the Christmas colors. I did some Christmas pulling. So that's just cleaning. And mind you, I go back and I add to paper. So this, I don't even know if I'll use this, but it was just to clean the plate. But I go back and I add. So this was just one where I just wanted to see these colors on the paper, and I was warming up my plate. But I will use this. I'll go back and I'll use this on another pull, and then another pull, or I'll stamp on it, or I'll heat emboss on it, and we're going to do all of these things while we make our art journal. I really, really hope that you will come and visit me in the upcoming videos where we're not just going to sit and talk about it, we're actually going to do it, right? So we're going to make an art journal, at least I am, and I'm going to store all these beautiful jelly prints. We're going to stamp on them, we're going to collage on them, we're going to heat emboss on them. We are going to do all these fun things, and this is totally inspired by Robin McClendon. You should go check her out if you have not already. She's just an inspiration. I've been wanting to do things, you know, I've been wanting to work on projects inspired by her for a long time, and I'm just so excited to finally get to do it. So I owe all of this excitement to her, because she has just really, really excited me. So these aren't much to look at. These were cleaning my plate again, and I added some stencil. But then, and this is another one, I didn't like this, so I just cleaned the plate with it a couple times, right? Again, just warming up the plate. It gets a little better. And then I did some tissue paper. Meh, don't like that much. But then it got fun and good. Here's another one that was just kind of blah, but I was like, okay, I can build up on that. Same with this one, I'll build up on that. But then it got beautiful. I promise it will eventually, right? Then I started pulling stuff like this, and this is just so gorgeous to me. This is several layers, and I can, it's hard to see. It's got blacks and browns, but then it's iridescent kind of. When you look in the light, it changes colors. So it's probably hard to see. But I was just making things that I was super proud of, trying different things out on the plate. And my favorite new technique, and this is what I've been waiting to share with you, is something I learned from Robin, and we're going to do it the next time. And this is the gorgeous print that I pulled doing this technique, and to me, this is like my masterpiece. I just think this is everything. This is using matte paints, chalk paints, and mixing our sprays with Stains by Patty Pockets. And Stains is a product from our friend Patty Pockets in the junk journaling community. She makes this herself out of whatever. We don't know her secret. But it smells like coffee and something else. But it dries flat, not shiny. It coffee dyes your papers basically without having to coffee stain. And it's just a wonderful product. I'm on my second bottle. I did get a new one because I did share this before with you guys when I first bought it, and I got obsessed with it. And real quick, I don't want to naysay it because I am a firm believer in this product and I will continue to buy it, so hear me out with that. But I will tell you, if you buy it, use it. Use it up as, you know, within a few weeks or a month. I don't know how long exactly, but mine did turn. And I never used a contaminated brush in mine or anything, but I had this since she first started selling it, and it did turn green at the bottom. So I don't want to say that to discourage you from buying it, please. I don't want to have that word out or anything. I'm telling you that you should buy it and that it's an amazing product. I'm just telling you to buy it and don't be afraid to use it and buy more. You know, you can always get more. But if you're like me and you try to hoard something you love, like I fell so in love with this, I'm like, I don't want to use it all. I don't want to use it all. And then I kept it for months, and that's what happened. So because I wasn't using it and it sat, I think, you know, it's best just to use it up and then just buy some more, save your money, a couple dollars a week till it adds up to the $10 that it costs to buy, and then buy it. You know what I mean? Don't hoard it, because it's a great product and you don't want to spoil it and have it, you know, get weird. And I still have this. I don't know. There's part of me that's like, maybe I'll use it for something, but if it is green, I don't know if it's safe or, you know, if it's mold or whatever. Obviously, I don't want to put that in anybody's stuff, but I just wanted to tell you that just use it up. Use it up. So, I hope that wasn't a mistake putting that in this video. You know, there's always somebody that tries to turn your words around, and I think I get scared about that sometimes still. You know, I don't want to look like I'm saying anything bad, because I'm not. But anyways, I just love this technique. She takes the Patty Pockets and spreads it around and sprays different sprays from Distress Spray Stains on, and mixes it around with the Brayer, and then adds that on top of the matte print. And then we have that stencil in the background from Elizabeth that I showed you, the swirly one. And it just came out. I mean, is that not beautiful? My lighting sucks, I can already tell, but in person, there's just so many layers, and it's just so beautiful. And now I'm looking through the screen, and I'm like, it doesn't look all that fantastic, but it really, in person, there's multiple layers of just gorgeousness. So I'm rambling, but here's a couple more, which is that coffee look with the matte background. This was done on top. I just used the patty pockets. I wanted to see what it looked like by itself. And I just kind of did this, and I did it on top of avocado stained paper just to see what kind of marks I could get. And I think that looked really subtle and beautiful. And then I did this beauty. This is a few layers. And then there's another really fun thing. You get all that wicking in there. I love all that wicking. It leaves the coolest textures. And this is another plain background that I really love this one because I'm going to build on this. And that's what I'm talking about, building. You don't have to have a whole bunch of designs and stuff on your first pull. You just need a nice background. And look at those chalk paints. And this was one I cleaned my plate with again because you can see the Christmas colors. But I can go back on this and put more onto it and add to it. And that's what I'm going to do with all of these. And then you can do something like this, where you take a printout, which again, I'm going to talk about Robin, but you can get a digital print and use that, print it off and then use your Gelli plate and just add subtle marks. You don't have to do a huge print of ink, of, acrylic. You can just use a little bit here and there to, Robin calls it glazing, glaze your paper. Just add a little bit of gold or add a little bit of red or shimmer. And I just think that red just added so much character to this one piece. Yeah. That's just my opinion anyways. So these aren't super masterpieces here, but they are fun. And we're going to build, my style now is to build up. I'm not worried about pulling the perfect piece in one pull. I want to build my layers, and it's less stressful to me, and it's more enjoyable. And it's just a journey. You just go on a journey with your paper. And I think it's also fun to go back to those pieces and go, oh, I'm going to print on that one. And, when you see something on the plate and you go, oh, I got the perfect piece of paper that can go on. Something I printed last week that would look great on top of. You know what I mean? Just adding to things. Okay, I could talk your head off. But I will save it for, oh, here, look. I'll save it for the rest. These were my favorite ones, and I almost didn't show you. Okay, I'm going to talk a little more. So this was my favorite pull. Goodness, I almost forgot these. This was my favorite pull. This was about 4 or 5 layers of pulling. This one is really, really good. These were scrap. This is vintage paper from the 40s, typewriter paper, 50s or something. This is beautiful. Lots of layers on this one. Oh, on this onion skin. Well, it said onion skin. I think it's straw paper. And then like this, look at the wicking. And this is black card. And I can't wait to build on top of this. I'm going to build on this one as well. I just love those colors. It's a postcard. So we're going to build on this. This has this beautiful gold flecks in it. We can build on these little scraps. I love this one. I did several pulls on this. This is several layers and several pulls, and this is probably my favorite thing that I created the other day during my session, and it wasn't until the end I was getting these beautiful pulls. What you saw that I just shared with you a second ago, and I thought, gosh, I thought I did more better ones than this, and these are the results I got after pulling all the ones I shared with you a second ago. And then I pulled this, so this is just a whole different print. And then I did this side, and I was like, whoa, that looks crazy. But again, I can go over it with whatever I want and just make it my own. This is one of my favorites, and I saved the best for last after this. I just love it. And this is on that, oh, this is a paper I didn't show you. Hold on. Oh, we're over time. Look at that. This is a beautiful paper that is, a rice paper, Chinese calligraphy paper, a rice paper, and it's pricey for as many as you get. You only get 25 sheets, and it's like close to 10 bucks. But it is very gorgeous. It is fancy. There's leaves and plants in it, and it is just feels so soft. I get so excited over paper. I'm such a nerd, but I love it, and it printed beautifully. And then you have that gorgeous side. And this one came out. This again was the technique with the patty pockets, and the sprays and the matte acrylic paints and the chalk paints, and wow, I was blown away by this one. I'm in love with this. And so if you're new to jelly plating, I hope that you give it a try and find yourself. It may take months, it may take 2 sessions, you know. You'll find your own style, you'll find what you enjoy doing. You're going to find many different things to do on your plate besides what I've talked about here. I've only scratched the surface for you. So I hope that you investigate more and that you've learned a lot. And thanks for bearing with me and sticking it out with me. Do you see these gold? Look at those. So pretty. All those layers of flowers, and this was my very favorite print from the other night. It's a few layers, and I don't know. I can just imagine cutting this, because what I'll do for this is I'll tear this square off right there, and I'll use that in a collage, and that's what I do. So, oh, it's so good. So if you want to see how we make prints like this, if you like what this is, I'm going to warm up my plate and start shooting another video and show you how it's done. And I hope that you'll join me. Thanks so much for stopping by. I know this was long. Have a blessed day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.